Hey, what's up, everybody? In this video tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at what we kind of need to do now. Since we've gotten our data in Google Sheets. So we've used our landing zones. We found our x coordinates, our y coordinates. We've measured the distances from each point of our landing spots of our bean bags to the center. And then we've used Google Sheets to calculate what that distance would actually be. We found our error. We've done a lot of things with this. But now we need to start setting things up for what we're going to do with this with Fusion. All right, so we're actually going to be using data to actually design something. So the first thing we're going to do is come down here. We're going to go ahead and just add a new sheet. And once we add our new sheet, we're now going to come back into our original document. So once we get into this spreadsheet, what you need to do is come underneath your calculated distances, and we're going to come down here and grab all that data. We're going to do a copy and now jump over into our second sheet. So what a lot of students do is they come in here to A1 and they right click and they do a paste because that's what they're kind of used to. But when we take a look at this, it's going to be screaming and yelling at us saying that something is wrong. So let's just undo that. Instead of just doing a paste, what we're going to do is right click and come down to paste special and say we want to just bring those values only over. Okay, and now we can see it's actually data or numbers that we can use. All right, so when we take a look at our actual numbers here, we can see that there's no particular order on these. These are all sort of jumbled up. So of course, we're going to come out here and we are just going to take our data, go up into our data, go to our sort range, and we're going to sort our range by column A, which is A to Z. And now we can see our smallest numbers are here on the bottom and our larger numbers are here on top. So thinking about this, I mean, this is indicating to us how far away um, our point that's the furthest away from the dead center of that landing zone is going to be. So if you kind of think about it, if we were to strike a circle, like using a compass to that point, that means that all of our data really should be within, that actual that distance or that radius. So what I'm going to do is coming to here, I'm going to say that this is my data group circle diameter. All right, I'm going to go ahead and expand out on that cell. So that's going to be not our diameter, I'm sorry, that is going to be our radius. I'm not thinking here. So that is our radius, okay? So, if you think about it, if you were to drill a hole with a drill, if you were to go to a drill bit set and you pick up a drill bit, if you look at the numbers, those are indicating diameter. We want to know what the diameter is. So when we get to Fusion, we can just, punch in that diameter. It's going to be more useful to us. So what I'm going to do is for this next one, I'm going to say my data group circle is not the radius, but I want to know what the diameter is. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick right here in this cell. I'm going to say this is going to equal, and I'm going to pick on this cell, and now I'm going to say multiply that by 2. So we're just going to take the radius, multiply it by 2 to find out what our diameter is. Okay, so our diameter for a data group is about, in my case, 25.06. But if you think about it, we want 15% of our people to actually win at this game. So right now, if we just kept it the way it is, like 25 inches, and we cut out a hole on our board, that's a pretty big hole. And we're going to find out that probably almost everybody's going to win. But we only want 15% of the people to win on this carnival game. So here's what we're going to do. I want to say this is my 15% winning circle diameter. All right, and if you think about it, we want 15% to win. And since we set up our fling machines, we set up our landing zones, we went to a particular distance, and we were flipping these over to that piece of paper. That's the data we've kind of tracked, and that's what we've sort of used to figure out, our total data group circle diameter. So 15% of that means, well, we're just going to take our diameter and actually just shrink it down to 15% of what it currently is, which in my case, and this one is 25 inches. So this one's pretty easy as well. We can just say this is going to equal this data cell and multiply that by 0.15. And now that's saying that my hole size is going to be 3.7, looks like 3.76. All right, so there is something else that you're going to have to do with this, and you have to make sure that your bean bag size can actually fit into that hole. All right, so we could do the math on this and we could do Pythagorean theorem and we could do all sorts of stuff, but I'm just going to go ahead and just show this to you. I'm going to come in here and just make a simple sketch. So the bean bags that we are using are 2.4 by 2.4 inches. So I'm going to just type that in, 2.4 by 2.4. Okay, so that means that the hole has to go, all right, to this diagonal corner in order for that bean bag to actually fall in. All right, so let's just take a look at that. All right, and if I were to take a look at that dimension, the hole that is absolutely required for the beanbag to actually fall in is 3.394. So what we have to do is take a look at our actual spreadsheet here and make sure that that number that we have here is bigger than 3.394, and I can see that mine is. Mine's showing up as 3.76. So what I'm trying to get at here is if you do all of this, all right, and your 15% winning circle diameter, okay, is less than 3.394, you have to bump it up to 3.394. Otherwise, you're not going to have any winners because the beanbag is not going to be able to fall through the hole. All right, so you have to make sure it is at least a minimum of 3.394. All right, so since mine's 3.75, we are good to go. The last thing I'm going to have to do is come back over here into my original sheet, and some of the things that we were doing here at the bottom are going to be mandatory because we know what the diameter of the hole is going to be on the board, but we need to know the actual location of it. So I need to come here to my mathematical center. Okay, I'm actually just going to snag that. I'm going to copy that thing up, put it over here into my sheet. Okay, and then probably come over here and actually cut this out and paste this on this side. This makes sense. So all that work that we have done, all the beanbag flinging with the Fling machine, the recording of all the data, all the Google Sheet work, really we have done that for two pieces of information. And that's these two pieces of information. So we know what our hole size, our hole diameter is going to be to allow for 15% of the patrons to actually win. And we need to, and it's also going to be telling us where this hole is going to be placed on that landing zone, which in our case, our landing zone is 31 by 21.75. All right. So that's all the information we're going to need for this. So there you go. That's how you're going to be wrapping up all your Google Sheet work for our Carnival Games / Fling Machine project.